The good news is people are finally on to Flock. You have towns throughout the entire country, from Chicago, Illinois to Sedona and Arizona, who are actually canceling their Flock contracts because they figured out they are getting more, and in fact a whole lot more, than they signed up for. Hi, I'm Chad Marlow, and I'm a senior policy counsel at the ACLU, and today we're calling out what I think is a company that is really impressively competing to be the worst company in America, and that is Flock Safety. So Flock Safety is a company that scans the license plates of cars, digitizes them, and then allows them to be run against government hot lists, and it also can store that information so that they can create a record of every place you've traveled for as long as they keep the data, and this can include really sensitive places, like political meetings you've gone to, doctor's offices, religious institutions, even where you sleep at night. And in fact, if you read their contract, it actually is worldwide licenses to use your data. So if your tiny town is using Flock, you should be asking yourself, why are we using an ALPR company that isn't only making this data available to my town, it's being made available to anyone in the entire country and in fact in the entire world. Too often the place that you live may be thinking, we need to collect information, we need to surveil our population to keep everybody safe. But what they're not asking is, safe from whom? And really, with the threats presented by the Trump administration, every local government really needs to be thinking, if we surveil our local population for our purposes, aren't we also surveilling them for the Trump administration's purposes? And the answer more often than not is yes. I often tell people that privacy is actually a gateway to all the rest of our rights. Someone who is being surveilled, someone who's being watched with everything they do, is going to feel less comfortable talking about or researching controversial positions, topics, or opinions. That's the First Amendment. They're also going to be afraid about where they go or who they associate with. Also the First Amendment. For those of you familiar with 1984, right here, the big slogan that came out of that book is Big Brother is watching you. And what they meant by that is when people are being watched, they are fearful of getting in trouble. And it's not just for doing bad things, it's for doing things that the government doesn't approve of. That creates what we call the chilling effect, where people are afraid to exercise the rest of their rights. So when you look at the list of the rights that you have in the Bill of Rights and the rest of the Constitution, those only matter if people are not afraid to exercise them. And surveillance creates fear. But there is good news, and thank God, because I often don't get to give it. The good news is people are finally on to Flock. I've been trying to get people to use the hashtag #GetTheFlock out of here. So far it's not working, but maybe this video will help. But you have towns throughout the entire country, from Chicago, Illinois to Sedona and Arizona, who are actually canceling their Flock contracts because they figured out they are getting more, and in fact a whole lot more, than they signed up for. If you want to find out more about how to do it in your local community, there is a website, which is communitycontrol.com. It has our model bill, and it has information on how to start a program in your community. The one thing I would say is to reach out to your state's ACLU affiliate and ask them if there's anything they can do to help, because they are a tremendous resource for anything that you may want to do to fight surveillance on the state or local level.